why people are relocating from New York to Georgia, which is one of the places that people are relocating to, because I've had several clients that I have worked with that have relocated from New York and up north and relocated down south to GA. Hey, it's Natasha Bazile with SoldByNet.com, associate broker, home selling, and new construction specialist with Virtual Properties Realty in Georgia. Today I'm bringing you a kind of fun video.
Hey, that's pretty good.
I recently went on a trip to New York, back to my hometown. If you're not new here and you may have watched some previous videos, I might have mentioned it, or you watched my personal home story, I'll link it here. You know that I was born in New York, Cambridge Heights, Queens, to be exact. I left there when I was about 13, 14. So left there, went to Florida. I really feel like I did my growing in Florida. So I really feel like I have the biggest connection to Florida because that's where I really feel like I did my growing up. And I have visited New York a couple of times, since I've left. But man, did I forget. I did not expect to enjoy this trip like I did. It was supposed to be for the kids so they could see where mom and dad were born, but we had an absolute blast, and I am going to include pictures just to share because we're cool like that. And shout out to the background photo. I'm going to say this is the Brooklyn Bridge. Is this the Brooklyn Bridge? I'm going to say this is the Brooklyn Bridge, but there are so many bridges that I could be wrong. This video, from going to New York, I realized some things, and one of those things is why I understand why people are relocating from New York to Georgia, which is one of the places that people are relocating to, because I've had several clients that I have worked with that have relocated from New York and up north and relocated down south to GA. And I'm going to include some of those pictures here on this screen to my fam that have relocated from up north to Georgia. Some of them have, moved down, and then I helped them once they got down here. Some of them did not even come in town until walkthrough. Some of them did not even come in town until closing. So yes, if that is something that you are interested in doing, hit me up. I am your girl for that. But on the other side of that, I also see why people stay in New York, because it just has its own vibe. It's grit. It's, granted, we did the touristy things while we were there, but I see why people stay. Number one on the list is driving. Now, I'm an aggressive driver. I am an aggressive driver. If you, I know I have some of my clients out there, they're like, yeah, she is. I have pulled up to houses and my clients' faces have been like, oh, okay, that's what we do. Yeah, because I will whip it. And I get that from, I guess, being around my dad driving. Like, he used to drive taxis in New York. That was his second job. He worked in Manhattan in an office. He had a corporate job, but he also drove taxis, nights, weekends, that grind. That's where I get my part of my work ethic from, the other parts from my mom. But yeah, driving. I thought I was aggressive until I got to New York, but I already knew, because I always felt like I'm not driving to New York. I'm just not driving to New York. I knew it, I guess, from living there. It was always in the back of my head. The last couple of times where I visited, I was like, yeah, I'm not driving here. And even though I feel like I'm aggressive, I'm not aggressive enough for New York. I'm just not aggressive enough from New York. And actually today I was driving and I saw some foolishness on the road. I'm gonna insert that clip right here. I just saw some reckless driving. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give them a pass because it's not as bad as New York. And then I had to take it back because New York has aggressive drivers. Not reckless, aggressive. New York drivers may be aggressive, but I don't see foolishness. In Georgia, I see foolishness, like people just cutting out, just pull out in front of you and then they go slow. I don't really see that. Like New York drivers, they're aggressive. It's just a different type. Like I'm aggressive, but then I'll also be cautious with my aggression. New York drivers, they aggressive and they going full speed. There's no hesitation. They just, yeah, I'm good. I see why people in New York, they would stick to public transportation, trains and buses, and for sure, Uber, Lyft. The horn, I realize the horn in New York is like breathing. They lay on the horn. They don't even wait. Like, don't hesitate if you're sitting at a light. Don't think you're about to be on your phone and then kind of miss the light. Somebody's as soon as the light, they do not. The horn, you just hear horns honking all the time. Like, yeah, they don't play. They have no respect for walkways. Like walkways, yeah, like you know how you at a walkway and you waiting for the little man, the woman, whoever, the object to come to turn white so that you can cross. People don't wait for that. They are like looking like my daughter's like, but Ma, it's, it still says don't cross. Listen, you cross. Like New Yorkers, we ain't following that. We're not paying attention to that. They are just gonna cross. And I think I was watching a video before I went and they said, you won't get a ticket for jaywalking, but you just get hit. So you don't get a ticket. You just get hit if you mess around and cross at the wrong time. Number 2, I will never complain about Atlanta traffic again. I thought Atlanta had traffic and we make comments about Atlanta traffic. New York traffic is next level. Why don't I hear people complaining about New York traffic? New York has some ridiculous traffic at like all times of the day. Like it was nighttime when there's generally not traffic. There was traffic. I don't get it. I don't get, like, in addition to the aggressiveness of the drivers, then to be sitting in traffic at all times of the day, morning, afternoon, night, there's always traffic. There is always traffic. So if you're in Georgia, you're in Atlanta and you complaining about Atlanta traffic, don't complain. I've heard people talk about LA traffic. What other places have bad traffic? But I didn't realize New York traffic was as bad as it was. So yeah, I could see why people are like, yeah, I'm done. I'm leaving New York because this traffic is ridiculous. We're out. Number 3, I realized very early on, like from we landed and we were on our way to our Airbnb, that a New York mile is not a Georgia mile. And I don't know if this is accurate and really correct, but to me, I don't know the science behind this, but I am saying a New York mile is not a Georgia mile. And why I say this, in Georgia, I can travel 40 miles in 1 hour. In New York, leaving LaGuardia to go to Brooklyn, to go to our Airbnb, on our MapQuest, it said it was, no, matter of fact, it wasn't LaGuardia. So we went to the wrong address in Brooklyn. So we went to Grand Place instead of Grand Avenue. So when we got to Grand Place, it said, all right, Grand Avenue is like 6.7 miles away. I'm like, all right, that's right up the street. Why did it still take us an hour? We're only going 6.7 miles up the street. It still took an hour. In Georgia, I can travel 40 miles. I can travel to Athens from Loganville in an hour. But here, I'm going 6.7 miles, which is the equivalent of me in Loganville going to Grayson. It should not take that long. So I don't get the whole mileage system. So if you get it, please drop a comment down below, because I do not get the mileage system. Why it's these little bit of miles, but it's this long amount of time. I don't get it. Please drop a comment and tell me down below. Number 4 is space. We don't need as much space as we get or have in Georgia, because it was 6 of us in my family that went to New York, and we stayed in an Airbnb that was 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. And we were there for a week and we managed. We managed. And I know several of you watching are probably like, yeah, when we grew up, like I shared a room with all of my siblings, or our house was only X amount. So it's doable. It is very doable. So I realized we don't need as much space as we have, but it sure is nice to have it. So that's another reason why I see why people move to Georgia, because you just get more space. You just get more space. And this is not on the list, so this is gonna be a bonus, but you get more bang for your buck because trust, everywhere we went for the most part, because I was just saying, oh, I was just like the peeping Tom, like looking in windows of lofts, and I just wanted to see the spaces and to see the views of where people were living. And I would pull up to see like how much homes or condos or whatever was going for in the area. And I was like, oh, and I'm gonna include some of those screenshots here. It's not cheap. It is not cheap at all. So that is another reason why I see people are moving to Georgia, because like I don't have it up on me right now, but I know it was like ridiculous. I remember we went to Hyde Park and I pulled it up. It was like you could get something for like 450,000. It was like a 1-bedroom studio, like 153 square feet. I was like, where's like who's what? But then I get it too, because it was so beautiful in the area and the people. So I get it, but then I don't get it. Like I get it, but then I don't get it, because that down here gets you so much more. So much more. So yeah, 450, 500,000 in Georgia. You getting like 4 bedrooms, 2,500 and up square feet. So I see why people move to Georgia, relocate from up north to Georgia. Number 5 on the list is going to school. It was just harder. I remember my sister having to take the subway and the train. She went to Christ the King. So I remember her having to do that to and from. I remember my mom taking a bus and train, and my dad. I remember my dad having to go wait at the bus stop for my mom to get off late at night. And I remember one time she got robbed at the bus stop. So I remember my dad had to make sure that he was there, and then he's driving taxis at night. It was just harder. It was just a harder life. And I get why people and why have that grit to them. And granted, I also see the beauty. I also saw so much beauty and culture and individualism. And I even saw beauty in just everyday things. Y'all, I digress. But I had a list. I had a list of things I wanted the kids to see and experience while we were on the trip. And I legit had on this list, and I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna put a screenshot in here. I had see a New York roach and see a New York subway rat. I legit had that on there. Like, I saw beauty in everything. And you're gonna be like, you saw beauty in a roach and a rat? Listen. Yes, I just appreciate the easier life in Georgia. Like, if I forget to buy eggs at Walmart, I could just jump in the car and go right down the street. I can be back home in 10 minutes versus, well, you could probably walk to your bodega, but you gotta walk to your bodega. Or if you drive, you may encounter traffic. But it's just harder. I've lived there, I can say that. I understand, I get it. So if you live in New York, don't take offense. But it is what it is. It's just a lot more. I just feel like it is just easier, especially with family. I just feel like it is just so much easier. This is what it is. That's all I can say. I just appreciate the easier lifestyle. Last on the list is, and this comes from staying in an Airbnb. Yeah, I don't miss apartment living. Having people live beside you, on top of you. I get that it's very common. Even if you have a house, you're probably in New York, they're probably renting out the basement or upstairs. And I can see how it's very lucrative why they do that. But I don't miss that. Matter of fact, I can't even say I don't miss it because I didn't live like that. We had our own house when we lived in Queens, but I have lived in apartments in Florida, and I don't miss that life. And I could see by these prices of these, what things are going for up north, why people could only be in an apartment, and not even only be in an apartment, condos, right? What is co-ops, things like that. It's still that kind of community type living. So if that's what you can afford, and well, I say what you can afford, you might have a darn penthouse. I see why people move, because they get more space and they're spread out and all of that. So yeah, those are the 6 things, really 7 because I included that bonus. But those are the things that I realized from my trip why I can see why a lot of people move from up north down south to GA. Granted, I also see why people stay and why people enjoy it. My daughter, surprisingly, my oldest daughter really loved it. So yeah, to each his own. But if you are one of those that are thinking about relocating to Georgia and you're wondering like, well, how would we make it happen? Whether you have a home to sell up there or not, contact me. I can definitely help you with that. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please drop me a comment down below. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing. Don't forget to check out my podcast. All that other good stuff. Help me get to 10,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys. All right. Have a positive, peaceful, and productive day, son. Bye.